Welcome back to AgriTalk. And today, conversation we are talking about organic agriculture. And with me in studio is Dr. Paul Kinoti from the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And before we went on a break, Dr. You're telling us a little bit about the things you're trying to do to bring government on board. But I also remember you talked about certification. Maybe you can tell us a little bit, what does it take to be certified as an organic farmer?
Good question. In fact, that's what I was waiting for. As an institution, if I was to bring it in that concept, we are not looking at organic just in the traditional way, where you produce, you consume, and that's the end of the story. We are looking at meeting the international standard so that this organic farmer benefits from the global premium prices of this organically produced crop. To achieve that, a farmer must meet certain requirements to the minimum so that they can be given now a permit, what we are calling a certificate that is internationally recognized. For a farmer to get that certificate, which is now the certification, there are international regulations, like I mentioned, about the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement, IFOAM, that is now decentralized in different countries, where they have set up some standards, and these standards have to be adhered to. For example, one of the requirements is you have to look at the production of a crop, because, like I said, there is the livestock, there is the crop, and there is a processor. I will pinpoint the production of the crop. Farmer, for example, must have been in organic farming for a minimum of 3 years. In between, they are in the conversion stage, and they have to meet certain specific standard requirements, minimum. For example, they should not have used any inorganic fertilizer or any harsh pesticide, apart from the biological one that are recommended. 2, they must abhor from any offensive product that is listed as harmful, either to the consumer, to the producer, or to the grower, or even to the environment. Once you meet those, and of course there are some other inspection procedures, because the moment you request that you want to be certified, then an inspector is sent, of course after the documentation checkup. Then after certifying those minimum requirements, then the farmer is now given a certificate label for organic certification, and now they can be able to sell their product either locally or internationally.
Okay.
Yes.
You've talked about the international regulations.
Yes.
Is there a regulator currently in Kenya, and do we have farmers who have already been certified?
Good question. Yes, we have some organization operating. In fact, for the last 5 years, we had about 5. I can mention about 2. That is the CERES, and of course ECOSAT, which are normally considered international, because their mother countries actually, their mother, what you can say, the host, from where they come from, are mainly European and US based. And of course we have NSAT, which is a local certification agent for local farmers who want to sell their product locally.
Okay.
This was coined after corn, where they felt, let's also promote organic farming for our own consumption locally. Yes, there are organizations that have been helping to train farmers and to have them certified, and I've just mentioned a few examples.
Okay. Do you also have farmers that already export organic produce?
Yes, we do, but mainly in coffee.
Okay.
Because coffee is a classical example of a crop that you can easily be able to certify and access a better premium market price. Because when you go to the auction, then they normally have 2 market brackets, for the conventional and for the organic. Of course, this doesn't limit other export products like fine beans, doesn't limit other export products like fruits, for example, the strawberries and the avocado. But so far, we have noted, I think, 2 main farmers who are doing organically certified coffee.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We know for most farmers, pest, weeds, and disease control is the biggest issue. How do organic farmers, if they are not allowed to use conventional chemicals, fight this pest, disease, and weeds?
Yeah, good question. Actually, as a crop scientist myself, one of the major challenges in crop production is actually what you have mentioned, pests, diseases, and of course where weeds falls in, among other related aspects. We advocate in organic agriculture what we call integrated pest management. That is, putting all other cultural, mechanical, biological processes together to discourage pest and disease attack. We know that in normal ecological balance, pests and diseases, of course, and the crops exist harmoniously. So if you don't disturb that balance, organic agriculturists envision that there is a possibility you can still sustain a certain level of pest threshold or disease and still produce. Of course, if you maintain a good soil health, it means you have a better crop. That crop can be able to resist diseases, it can be able to have a tolerance to pests and still perform. But of course, we do not, of course, eliminate the control measures that can be applied in situations where, for example, we have higher pest threshold. But there are those pesticides recognized as organic. For example, we have some fungi, what we call entomopathogenic fungi, that are used to attack particular insect pests. They attack the larvae, and those are larvae, now they mummify and die. When it comes, for example, into the use of some bacteria, we have what we call Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a pesticide, but less harmful, which of course also deals with the diseases that are affecting particular crops. Of course, if you are looking at some pests, for example, you have predators. Look at the mites. We have an enemy, a natural enemy called the phytoxylus, which can also be used to minimize. So in organic farming, unlike conventional farming, we encourage ecological balance, integration between different control measures, and where necessary, then you come in with these less toxic products for control of pests, diseases, and the management of the weed, which have been documented and are allowed within the internationally recognized organic practices.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been a cry that most of the chemicals we use have been destroying pollinators or killing pollinators. Do these organic chemicals that you mentioned friendly to these pollinators?
Good question. In fact, one of the major subset of livestock under organic is beekeeping. And when we are doing beekeeping, we are encouraging farmers, for example, to integrate the bees with the crops for pollination purposes. The type of the recommendations we are making, for example, Bacillus thuringiensis, it is non-bee harmful. That is normally the rating. Mm-hmm. When you talk to EPF, it has nothing to do with the bee. When you talk to phytoxylus, it has nothing to do with the bee, yet it can be able to reduce. So it's possible to integrate the bee, for example, as a pollinator. Of course, there are wasps. And at the same time, use these integrated products, such as the ones I've mentioned, and still maintain the level of those predators, okay, of those pollinators.
Okay. So where do farmers get these chemicals? And can they make their own?
Well, the program, for example, we have at Jomo Kenyatta, we bring together the farmers because we have a training program where we identify farmers in different localities, bring them together and try to teach them their home-based ways of generation of pesticides that they can use. For example, the neem. Neem is a plant-based extract from rubaine. I think that is a common language for people, where they can extract and still use to control a wide variety of diseases and pests. We have moringa, which can also be used as a vegetable. We have the peppers, which of course they can use and still control. We have, of course, some sugar that can be able to trap and, of course, disorient some pests. So they are home-based kind of pesticides that are less harmful. They can be generated locally, and of course we have commercial ones. For example, an organization like Dudutech produces quite a lot of biological control organisms that are used for control of different pests and diseases, and they are commercially available, channeled through the normal agrovet or the vet kind of system where you get a normal pesticide if you want to purchase.
Okay. We've talked a lot about the benefits of organic agriculture, both to the soil and to the human beings. But I'm asking myself, where do I get this produce? Is there a market for organic produce? A pure market for organic produce?
Yeah, that's a good question. In a Kenyan context, it is not well framed. And that is one of the things we are trying to generate or trying to advocate as an institution at the Jomo Kenyatta University. I am spearheading that project at the moment. In other countries, because in this case I'll have to borrow what happened, you have a supermarket, for example, where you can get specifically bio. They are called bio, and those products are certified as organic by a particular certification agent, which confirm from the production point up to the time they are normally displayed for consumer use. Unlike in that scenario, in Kenya we have a step behind, where now we need to develop a policy where the government comes in and say, okay, fine, let's have organically certified farmers. These organically certified farmers shall sell their product as organically certified, so that when you go to the supermarket or any marketplace, you can easily access. This is something that is developing. Currently, we have pocket of farmers. For example, we know like Jomo Kenyatta, we have a set of about 3 acres, which has been set aside for organically produced vegetables and fruits. So farmers or consumers who live around there can visit. We have also other pocket places like Nakuru. We have a farm there. Of course, we used to have an organization called Kenya Institute of Organic Farming that also, for example, used to promote, and you can get those products. But going to our normal market, it's a little bit tricky because of there are no policies, there are no standards that have been organized. But this is food for thought, and this is something we are gearing towards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about food for thought, as a university, have you thought, now that agriculture is a devolved function, have you thought of ways of working with the county governments to ensure that even on the markets in these counties, there will be a section for organic produce?
Yeah, good question. The formulators of the farmers training program envisioned that. In fact, there is a clause within that program as a curriculum that says JKUAT shall collaborate with the county government under the docket of agriculture, livestock, and whatever, through other stakeholders like CARO, to come up with a way in which they can integrate, bring farmers together, and of course promote them so that now they can also be able to market their product as certified. To your question, yes, there are plans, and we have them even captured in our curriculum.
Auction. Does organic farming also require extension services?
Good. Any agricultural practice require extension services, so to speak. Why? Because farmers are at different levels of production, different levels of understanding. The role of an extension farmer is to reach out to different farmers at different levels, bring them, train them, and put them at the standard for the main sole purpose of high production, good quality, high quantity. So, with organic farming, yes, there are extension, and we have, of course, in our institution, we have the Division of Research, Planning and Extension, called RPE, which normally has a team of specialists who go out and now teach farmers on how first to prepare their land, to how to prepare the compost, for example, which is a basic necessity of soil rich and soil health, and of course how they can be able to control these pests and diseases and enhance post-harvest shelf life of their crops after harvesting.
Okay. Do you think we'll ever have enough extension officers, especially for specifically organic?
Our people say something that is not yet done or started still remain obscure. But once you start something, once the ball start rolling, everything becomes easier. It's all about the mindset. Let's have a mindset which is positive toward that, and then everything will work for our well-being and for the well-being of the society. In my own opinion, that is very much guided. I see a situation within a couple of years that will have extensive agent, will have farmers that will embrace the technology, and of course, the country will become organically a kind of environment where every consumers in the country will actually have to embrace this. And of course, it's possible to train even extension officers that are organically oriented. Like, for example, having a program, Bachelor of Science in Organic Agriculture. And then those people are normally posted in the county, and they help to convert most of these farmers or help them to go through the conversion process.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot about what Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology is doing, especially to organic farming.
Yes.
And that is one of the institution of higher learnings. Don't you think we also need to take this down to our schools, our primary schools, so that these kids can also come up knowing there's this kind of farming that is healthy not for the human being but also healthy for the soil and for nature?
Yeah, good question. Jomo Kenyatta, because I speak for my institution, because we are the ones that have been trying to come up with this, we have what we call a school-based program, where we visit schools, and one of the parts of the school-based program is to enhance this. We work with what we call 4K clubs at the school level, where we teach them the basic norms of organic agriculture. We start from the beginning, that you can still use an insect pest to fight another pest. You don't have to use a very toxic, I don't want to mention names, because that will be a totally different story, but you can still control a disease with using a natural-based product. And when we bring up these children, primary, secondary, and we practice even at home, for example, a kitchen garden, a backyard garden, this will grow with them. And of course, it's not only Jomo Kenyatta as a university, we have other training institute, which are also trying to promote the same kind at the local level. So let's start, and of course we have that vision, because we have, for example, already captured in our program, school-based program. We visit primary, we visit secondary, we visit subsidiary colleges, and we inculcate this noble idea.
Okay. We've also seen a rise in what we call these diseases that we call lifestyle diseases. Mm-hmm. And most of them they're saying it's based on what we eat. Do you think organic farming could be a solution to some of these problems we're seeing at the moment?
Perfect. Actually, like I said, organic agriculture is about safe food, healthy food, what we consume for today, tomorrow, and in future. Most of this harsh, I'm sure you have heard about these restricted pesticides, where every time, for example, the European Union, which I'm a bit conversant with, tend to release products that are normally banned every year. And every farmer that has to export a product must adhere to that kind of concept. The reason is because they are also associated with those cancerous diseases, those diseases that affect our normal body functioning because of interfering with the cell, because of their harshness. If, for example, you are to use a product that, for example, proclamates against the cancer cells, in this concept of organic agriculture, there is nowhere any product that had been used for pest management has been actually linked to such kind of lifestyle diseases to date. Not anyone, at least I know. So, to your question, that is the way forward. Let's cut down on use of these harmful or harsh pesticide or products that are harmful to the environment, to the producer, consumer, and enhance things that build up our environment, our ecology, and of course sustain the production today, tomorrow, and future. Organic is about today, tomorrow, and future.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking about the future, what do you think is the future of organic farming?
Very bright and very positive. Mm-hmm. As people embrace the value towards having safe foods that enhance their health, like now there is a lot of discussion about people spending a lot of money to care for themselves in terms of these diseases, which can easily be resolved. I'm aware of a farmer in Kiambu, I won't mention the name, who has actually been using organic food for the last 35 years. And that person has never visited a hospital, compared to the neighbor, probably, who has been visiting hospital. So in terms of the cost of bills, then you are cutting it almost to zero. So why would a farmer or why would a consumer go for a product that probably tomorrow, when you consume today, you're in the hospital, the single shilling you saved to try and buy the conventional one, you are now using it, or even more, to treat a disease that you would have avoided. If I was the person, I would go for the one where there is minimal or no cost in terms of maintaining my health, and that is organic.
Okay. As we wind up, what advice could you give to young people? Because they say the future is in the hands of the young people. So what advice could you give them, especially those who are thinking of engaging in farming, to engage in organic agriculture?
Good question. Yes, they say a society or a country is actually the backbone is the youth or the young people, because they are the ones for tomorrow. To me, I will tell them that let's embrace agriculture first as the mainstay of our economy. Without agriculture, you can't feed. Without agriculture, you can't survive. You need agricultural product every day, unlike other aspects of our day-to-day life. So let's embrace agriculture. 2, let's embrace safe and healthy food. And this comes into organic farming. And of course, let's have a noble and a conversation with even our political leaders and legislators that will come up with programs that will support these youth. Remember, these youth, yes, they want to participate in agriculture, but do they have the income? Do they have the financial stake? Let's find out how we can empower them. And of course, with good working relationship with policymakers, the legislature, our county government, then I see a situation where the youth will not only embrace that kind of noble idea, but also will practice it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul Kinoti, for that conversation. We've learned a lot about organic agriculture and why we should eat organic. And I'm sure our viewers have really learned a lot, and we will be calling you again next time.
Thank you very much.
For our viewers back at home, that is it from us today. Until next time, goodbye.